The stars looked peaceful from Earth, but Frank Miller knew better. As Admiral of the United Earth Navy, he had seen what those distant lights hid. Monsters lived among those stars. Monsters with advanced technology and no mercy. For 300 years, the Valdari Imperium had ruled the galaxy. Their crystal ships traveled faster than light. Their weapons could destroy cities in seconds. Any race that fought back was crushed. Any planet that refused to pay tribute was bombed until nothing lived there anymore. Frank stood in the command center beneath the Pacific Ocean, watching the large screen. The Valdari ambassador appeared there, his skin almost see-through, his 6 eyes glowing with an unnatural blue light. "Humans," the ambassador said. His voice sounded metallic through the translator. "The High Council requires double the amount of rare metals this cycle. You have 30 Earth days to comply." Frank kept his face calm, though anger burned inside him. 70 years. For 70 years, humans had bowed to these demands. They had mined their own planet dry to feed the Valdari war machine. They had watched as other races were wiped out for showing less than total obedience. "Ambassador," Olivia Grant said, stepping forward. As Earth's chief diplomat, it was her job to buy time. "We need to discuss this. Doubling our tribute will cause great hardship for our people." The Valdari's eyes pulsed with light. "Hardship is preferable to extinction, is it not? The Caldari system refused last cycle. Do you remember what happened to them?" Everyone remembered. The Valdari had broadcast the destruction across all channels. 5 planets reduced to rubble in a single day. 8 billion lives ended. "We remember," Olivia said quietly. "Then we expect your cooperation. Valdari out." The screen went dark. Frank waited until the security systems confirmed the transmission had truly ended. Then he slammed his fist on the table. "They think we're weak," he said. "They think we're scared." "We are scared," said General Lisa Chen, commander of Earth's ground forces. "And for good reason." "But we're not weak," Frank replied. "Not anymore." He pressed his hand against a scanner. A hidden door opened in the wall. Frank led the others through it, into a room only the highest military leaders could enter. Inside was a 3-dimensional map of the solar system. A blinking red dot appeared in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. "Project Thunderchild is ready," Frank said. Lisa's eyes widened. "Already? The last report said we needed another 6 months at least." "Dr. Pierce and his team worked day and night," Frank said. "They finished ahead of schedule." "The Valdari are watching us closely," Olivia warned. "If they detect unusual activity." "They won't," Frank assured her. "They're so convinced of their superiority they don't really look. Their scans are routine, automatic. They don't expect us to have anything that could threaten them." He touched the blinking dot, and the map zoomed in. There, hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid, was humanity's greatest secret. "The USS Vengeance," Frank said, his voice filled with pride. The ship was massive. Nearly 2 miles long, its black hull was designed to absorb sensor scans. Its shape was unlike any ship humans had built before, not the cylinders and spheres of their space stations, but an angular predatory form that somehow seemed to swallow light. "It doesn't look human," Lisa observed. "Because it's not entirely human technology," Frank explained. "For 70 years we've been studying every piece of Valdari tech we could get our hands on. Crashed scout ships, damaged drones, discarded equipment they thought too primitive to worry about us reverse engineering." Dr. Alan Pierce stepped forward. The chief engineer of Project Thunderchild looked tired, with dark circles under his eyes, but he smiled as he looked at the image of the ship. "The Valdari have never hidden their transmissions from us," Alan said. "They use quantum encryption among themselves, but when they communicate with lesser species like us, they use simple channels. We've recorded everything, analyzed their language, studied their technical terms, pieced together how their technology works." Frank nodded. "And they've never realized they've been teaching us how to defeat them." "What about the crew?" Olivia asked. "Ready and waiting," Frank replied. "The best pilots, engineers and soldiers humanity has to offer. They've been training in secret for years. Who's the captain? Lisa wanted to know. Sam Reeves, Frank said. Naval Special Forces, cool under pressure, brilliant tactical mind. I know him. Lisa nodded with approval. Good choice. Frank looked at each person in the room. The Valdari have given us 30 days to respond. I say we use that time to launch the vengeance. No more waiting, no more hiding. Olivia looked worried. Frank, if this fails. It won't. Alan interrupted. The ship works. The weapons work. We've tested everything except the main cannon, and that's only because we couldn't hide the energy signature of a full discharge. And, if it succeeds, Frank continued, we show the galaxy that the Valdari can be beaten. Other species will rise up. The Arcadians, the Centauri. They've been waiting for someone to strike the first blow. Lisa studied the ship on the display. Even with this vessel, we're outnumbered. The Valdari have thousands of ships. But only 50 in Earth orbit right now, Frank pointed out. The collection fleet. If we can destroy it before they call for help, that's a big if, Olivia cautioned. Frank straightened his uniform. I'm not saying it won't be risky, but we've planned for this moment for decades. Every detail has been considered. Every contingency prepared for. He touched another control, and the image changed to show Earth. Beautiful, blue, and now stripped of many of its resources to feed Valdari greed. We can keep giving them what they want until there's nothing left, Frank said quietly. Or we can take this chance. After a long moment, Lisa nodded. I'm in. Me too, Alan agreed. They all looked at Olivia. As the diplomat, she had spent years talking to the Valdari, trying to reduce their demands to save human lives. She had seen their cruelty firsthand. If we do this, she said slowly, there's no going back. Ever. There's no going back anyway, Frank replied. They'll keep taking until we have nothing left. Then they'll destroy us anyway, just to make room for a species they find more useful. Olivia took a deep breath. Then she nodded. Send the launch codes. Frank touched his communication device. This is Admiral Miller. Authorization Sierra Tango 71. Launch Project Thunderchild, I repeat. Launch Project Thunderchild. Somewhere in the asteroid belt, alarms began to sound. Crew members ran to their stations. Engineers made final checks of systems. Weapons officers armed the massive arrays of cannons and missile launchers. On the bridge of the USS Vengeance, Captain Sam Reeves received the message. His heart beat faster, but his voice was calm as he addressed his crew. This is not a drill, he announced. Launch sequence initiated. All personnel to battle stations. As the massive engines of the Vengeance powered up, Sam looked at the small picture stuck to his console. Earth, as seen from space. His home. We're coming for you, he whispered to the distant Valdari ships. And you won't know what hit you. The countdown began. Humanity's moment of truth had arrived. The USS Vengeance moved out from its hiding place in the asteroid belt. For years, it had been built in secret, piece by piece. Now it flew through space, its dark hull barely visible against the blackness around it. Captain Sam Reeves stood on the bridge watching his crew work. They were the best Earth had to offer, 200 men and women who had trained for this moment for years. Many had left families behind, not telling them where they were going or why. Some might never see Earth again. Status report, Sam ordered. Lieutenant Kate Walsh looked up from the weapons station. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel. All weapon systems online, she reported. Main cannon charged at 70%. Disruptor drones ready. For launch. Engineering reports all systems green, added Paul Harris, the chief engineer. Unlike most of the crew who wore blue uniforms, Paul wore the red uniform of the engineering team. The drive core is stable. We can make the jump to light speed whenever you're ready, Captain. Sam nodded. The ship hummed with power around them. He could feel it through the soles of his boots. a deep vibration that spoke of controlled energy, raw power waiting to be unleashed. "Communications check," he said. John Rodriguez, the communications officer, adjusted his headset. "All channels. Clear, Captain. We're maintaining radio silence as ordered. No transmissions detected from Valdari patrols." "Good." Sam walked to the main view screen at the front of the bridge. It showed the path ahead, empty space between them and Mars. Beyond Mars lay Earth, and in orbit around Earth, the Valdari collection fleet. "Begin countdown for lightspeed jump," Sam ordered. "Plot course to take us behind Mars. We'll use the planet to mask our approach." "Course plotted," responded the navigation officer, a young woman named Diane Foster. "Jump in 5 minutes." Sam pressed a button on his chair. "This is the captain speaking," he said, his voice carrying to every part of the ship. "In 5 minutes, we will make our first faster-than-light jump. Our destination is Mars orbit. From there, we will engage the Valdari collection fleet." He paused, thinking of what to say next. These people had trained hard. They knew the risks, but they deserved to know what was at stake. "The Valdari have ruled this galaxy through fear for too long," he continued. "They believe humans are weak. They think we don't understand their technology. Today we prove them wrong." Throughout the ship, crew members listened. In the engine room, technicians checked and double-checked systems. In the medical bay, doctors prepared for possible casualties. In the drone bay, teams loaded the special disruptor drones into launch tubes. "No matter what happens today," Sam concluded, "know that Earth is proud of you. I am proud of you. Good luck and good hunting." He turned to Dr. Alan Pierce, who stood quietly at the back of the bridge. The scientist had come aboard to monitor the ship's most important system, the quantum fold disruptor. "Will it work?" Sam asked quietly, so only Alan could hear. Alan nodded. "In theory, yes. The disruptor targets the frequency that holds Valdari crystalline technology together. Their ships, their weapons, even their communication systems all use the same basic crystal lattice structure. Disrupt that and their technology fails." "In theory," Sam repeated. "We've tested it on smaller pieces of Valdari tech," Alan said. "It works. But a full warship? That's different." "Different how?" Alan's face was serious. "Bigger, more complex, more backup systems. The effect will be temporary, maybe only a few seconds, but those seconds could be enough." "They have to be," Sam said. The ship's countdown continued. 3 minutes to jump, 2 minutes, 1. "Light speed in 10 seconds, Diane announced. 9, 8. Sam gripped the arms of his chair. Traveling faster than light was still new technology for humans. They had learned it by studying Valdari ships, but this was the first time they had built a human vessel that could do it. 3, 2, 1. Jump. The stars outside stretched into lines. The ship shuddered. Then, with a flash of light, the USS Vengeance disappeared from the asteroid belt. An instant later, it reappeared near Mars. The red planet loomed large in the view screen. "Jump successful," Diane reported, relief in her voice. "All systems functioning normally. We are behind Mars, hidden from Earth sensors." "Well done," Sam said. He turned to John. "Status of the Valdari fleet?" John listened to his headset. "No. Change, Captain. They don't know we're here. They're in standard orbit around Earth, 50 ships in formation." Sam nodded. It was time for the next phase. "Prepare main cannon," he ordered. "Target the Valdari flagship." Kate's hands flew over. Her console. Targeting systems locked on. Main cannon power now at 90%. "Launch passive sensor drones," Sam continued. "I want full readings on their shield frequencies." Small drones shot out from the Vengeance, speeding toward Earth orbit. Too small to be noticed by Valdari. Sensors, they would provide detailed information about the enemy ships. "Drones away," Paul confirmed. "Data coming in now." Sam turned to Alan. "Analyze that data. Find their weak points." Alan bent over a screen, studying the information from the drones. "Their shields are strongest at the front of each ship," he said after a moment. "Standard formation puts their flagship in the center, protected on all sides, but what? There's A gap, Alan said. A small one between the overlapping shield frequencies. If we time our shot just right, when they're adjusting their formation, we can hit them before they can react, Sam finished. He studied the tactical display. The Valdari ships were arranged in a beautiful, perfect pattern, like a work of art. Like they had absolute confidence in their safety. They've never been challenged, Sam said quietly. Not really. They've crushed resistance so quickly that no one has had time to find their weaknesses. Until now, Kate said. Sam nodded. Until now? He took a deep breath. What they were about to do would change everything. There would be no going back to the way things were. Either humanity would take its first step toward freedom, or the Valdari would destroy Earth in retaliation. All hands, he said. Prepare for battle. We will emerge from behind Mars in exactly 10 minutes. The moment we have a clear shot at the flagship, we fire the main cannon. Everything depends on that first shot. The Mars crew moved with purpose now. The time for doubt was over. In Earth orbit, the Valdari collection fleet continued its patrol, unaware that their long reign of terror was about to be challenged. Supreme Overlord Zex Kaltar sat on the command throne of his flagship, bored with this routine mission. Humans were so predictable, so weak. They never resisted. They always paid their tribute, even as it increased year after year. He had no way of knowing that a human ship was about to change everything. No way of knowing that his long, glorious career was about to end. The USS Vengeance moved slowly from behind Mars. Its dark hull absorbed light rather than reflected it. On the bridge, Captain Sam Reeves gave the final orders. Weapon status, he said. Main cannon at full power. Kate Walsh replied from the weapon station. Targeting systems locked on the Valdari flagship. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook slightly. Everyone knew what would happen if they failed. Engineering status, Sam continued. All systems green, Paul Harris reported. Quantum fold. Disruptor ready to deploy on your command. Sam looked at the main screen. The Valdari collection fleet hung in orbit around Earth. 50 crystal ships, arranged in a perfect pattern, beautiful and deadly. For 70 years, the sight of those ships had meant fear for humans. Today, that would change. Communications, Sam said. John Rodriguez listened to his headset. Valdari ships are exchanging routine messages. They have not detected us yet. Sam took a deep breath. This was the moment. Everything they had worked for came down to this. On my mark, he said. 3, 2, 1. Mark. The Vengeance's main cannon fired. A beam of pure energy, bright as a small sun, shot across space. It hit the Valdari flagship dead center. For a second, nothing happened. Then the crystal ship simply came apart. There was no explosion, no fire. It just broke into thousands of pieces that scattered into space. On the bridge, no one spoke. They had done it. They had destroyed a Valdari warship. Then John shouted, "Captain, Valdari communications just exploded with alerts. They're trying to figure out what happened." Sam knew they had only moments before the Valdari reorganized. "Launch disruptor drones," he ordered. "Target the remaining ships." Small craft shot out. From the Vengeance. Each carried a miniature version of the quantum fold disruptor. They raced toward the Valdari fleet, which was now breaking formation, trying to locate the source of the attack. "Valdari ships charging weapons," Kate reported. "They've spotted us." "Evasive maneuvers," Sam ordered. "Bring us closer. I want to be in the middle of their formation when the drones hit." Some might have thought this was crazy, flying straight at an enemy with superior numbers. But Sam knew the Valdari tactics. They relied on their perfect formation, their overlapping shields. When that formation broke, there would be gaps. The Vengeance dived toward Earth, accelerating fast. The Valdari ships fired, bright beams of energy slicing through space. Most missed. One grazed the hull of the Vengeance, leaving a black scorch. "Mark, minimal damage," Paul reported. "Outer hull only." "Drones reaching targets," Kate said. The disruptor drones attached themselves to the hulls of Valdari ships. Then they activated. There was no visible effect, but Sam knew what was happening. The quantum field that held the crystal ships together was collapsing. For a few precious seconds, the seemingly invincible Valdari vessels were vulnerable. Fire. All weapons, Sam ordered. The Vengeance unleashed everything it had. Missiles, energy beams, even simple projectiles fired at incredible speeds. The weapons found their targets. Valdari ships that had withstood attacks from entire fleets of other races now cracked, broke apart, or exploded. 8 ships destroyed, Kate reported, wonder in her voice. 10, 12. The Valdari were trying to regroup. The remaining ships formed a new pattern, combining their shields. They're adapting, Alan Pierce warned. The disruptor effect won't work the same way, twice. Sam had expected this. The Valdari were arrogant but not stupid. Deploy second wave of drones, he ordered. Different frequency pattern. More drones launched from the Vengeance. These carried a modified version of the disruptor, designed to counter the Valdari's adaptive technology. Valdari communications indicate they're calling for reinforcements, John reported. They're requesting the battle fleet from the Proxima system. Sam knew what that meant. The battle fleet had hundreds of ships, far more than the Vengeance could handle alone. How long do we have, he asked. Based on their position, 4 hours at most, John replied. Then we finish this before they get here, Sam said. All power, to weapons. The battle continued. The Vengeance moved through the Valdari formation like a shark through a school of fish, striking, moving on, striking again. The second wave of drones found their targets. More Valdari ships broke apart. On Earth, people looked up at the night sky and saw flashes of light. Some thought they were seeing meteors or shooting stars. Others, who knew what was happening, watched with hope and fear. In the command center beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Frank Miller received updates from the space monitoring stations. The Vengeance has destroyed 28 Valdari ships, an officer reported, but they've taken damage. Their portside weapons array is offline, Frank nodded. And the Valdari response? As expected, sir. They've called for reinforcements. Olivia Grant, who stood nearby, asked the question everyone was thinking. Can the Vengeance destroy all 50 ships before the reinforcements arrive? Frank didn't answer. He didn't know. Back in space, the battle grew more intense. The Valdari had recovered from their initial shock. They were now focusing all their fire on the Vengeance. The human ships' shields glowed as they absorbed hit after hit. Shields at 60%, Paul reported. We can't take much more of this. Sam studied the tactical display. 28 Valdari ships destroyed. 22 remained, and the Vengeance was taking heavy damage. We need to end this quickly, he said. Status of the quantum fold disruptor. The main one, not the drones. Alan checked his readings. It's ready, but using it will drain almost all our power. We'll be defenseless for at least 2 minutes while systems recharge. Sam made his decision. Plot a course through the center of their formation. We'll hit them with the main disruptor, then the main cannon again once power restores. It was risky, very risky, but they had no choice. Course plotted, Diane Foster said from the navigation station. All hands, brace for impact, Sam announced. We're going in. The Vengeance turned and accelerated straight toward the tightest cluster of Valdari ships. The enemy fired everything they had. The human ships' shields took hit after hit. Shields at 40%, Paul warned. 30. Stay on course, Sam ordered. They were close now. So close that the crystal ships filled the view screen. Activate main disruptor, Sam commanded. Alan pressed a sequence of buttons. The ship shuddered as the quantum fold disruptor activated. A wave of invisible energy spread out from the Vengeance. It didn't harm the human ship, but when it reached the Valdari vessels, their crystal structures began to vibrate. The perfect lattices that made them so strong became their weakness. Now, Sam shouted, all remaining weapons fire. Even with reduced power, the Vengeance's weapons tore through the temporarily vulnerable Valdari ships. Crystals shattered. Ships broke apart. The space around Earth filled with glittering debris. Status report, Sam demanded when they were through the formation. Kate checked her screens. 17 more Valdari ships destroyed, 5 severely damaged. That leaves... She did the quick math. That leaves 5 still fully operational. 5 ships. They had destroyed 45 of the 50-ship fleet, but the Vengeance had paid a price. Shields offline, Paul reported. Main power at 20% and slowly recharging. Weapon systems overheated. The 5 remaining ships are regrouping, John warned. They're coming about for another attack. Sam looked at his crew. They were tired, some injured, but determination showed on every face. We've come too far to fail now, he said. Reroute all auxiliary power to the main cannon. We make one final stand. The battle for Earth was reaching its climax. The 5 remaining Valdari ships formed a new attack pattern. They moved together, their crystal hulls glinting in the sunlight. On board the USS Vengeance, alarms blared. Power at 25% and rising slowly, Paul Harris reported, from engineering. His uniform was torn, and a cut on his forehead had left dried blood on his face. Shields still offline. Main cannon needs 3 more minutes to recharge. We don't have 3 minutes, Kate Walsh said from the weapons station. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed fear. Valdari ships are charging weapons. They'll be in firing range in 60 seconds. Captain Sam Reeves looked around the bridge. Some stations were damaged, with sparks flying from broken panels. Several crew members were injured. The ship had fought well, destroying 45 enemy vessels. But now, with power low and shields down, they were vulnerable. Options? Sam asked. Dr. Alan Pierce looked up from his console. We still have the backup disruptor generator. It's smaller, less powerful, but it might give us enough time to recharge the main cannon. How close would we need to be? Sam asked. Very close, Alan replied. Almost touching their hulls. Sam nodded. It was risky, maybe even suicidal, but they had no choice. Diane, he called to the navigation officer. Plot an intercept course. Get us as close as possible to those ships. Yes, Captain, Diane Foster replied, her hands flying over her console. John, Sam continued, send a message to Earth. Tell them what we've accomplished and that we're making one final attack. John Rodriguez nodded and began transmitting. Sam stood and addressed the entire bridge crew. We've done what many thought impossible. We've proven the Valdari can be defeated. No matter what happens in the next few minutes, remember that. The crew nodded. Some looked afraid, others determined, but all were ready to finish what they had started. Course plotted, Diane announced. Intercept in 45 seconds. Valdari ships adjusting formation, Kate warned. They're spreading out, trying to surround us. Sam smiled grimly. That was actually good. It meant they couldn't combine their fire as effectively. Stay on course for the lead ship, he ordered. Prepare backup disruptor. The Vengeance shot forward, ignoring the smaller Valdari vessels that tried to flank it. All focus was on the lead ship, the biggest of the 5 remaining enemies. Valdari ships opening fire, Kate shouted, without shields, the energy beams. Hit the Vengeance directly. Metal melted. Sections of the hull tore open. The ship shuddered. Hull breach on decks 4 and 5, Paul reported. Emergency bulkheads activated. Stay on course, Sam ordered. They were close now, so close that the lead Valdari ship filled the view screen. Its crystal surface seemed to pulse with light. Beautiful but deadly. Activate backup disruptor, Sam commanded. Alan pressed a sequence of buttons. The small backup generator hummed to life, sending out waves of energy that targeted the crystalline structure of the Valdari ship. The effect was immediate but limited. The enemy vessel's crystal began to vibrate, losing cohesion, but only in a small area directly in front of the Vengeance. Main cannon status? Sam asked. 2 more minutes, Kate replied. Too long, Sam muttered. He needed another option. Then John called out, Captain, I'm receiving transmissions from Earth orbit. New signals. Valdari reinforcements? Sam asked, heart sinking. No, John said, his voice filled with disbelief. Human ships, 6 of them. They're small, but they're moving fast. Sam was stunned. Are you sure? Positive, John confirmed. They're using our encryption codes. It's Admiral Miller, sir. He says the rest of Project Thunderchild is joining the fight. A new hope filled the bridge. They weren't alone anymore. On the tactical display, 6 small dots appeared racing up from Earth. They were much smaller than the Vengeance, fast attack ships rather than a battleship. But they had been built with the same reverse-engineered Valdari technology. Tell them to focus on the flanking ships, Sam ordered. We'll handle the leader. The Vengeance continued its approach, taking heavy damage but staying on course. The backup disruptor was having an effect, creating a weakness in the Valdari ship's hull. All remaining weapons, Sam commanded. Target that weak point. What missiles and energy weapons the Vengeance had left fired as one. They struck the vibrating section of crystal. For a moment, nothing happened. Then cracks spread like ice breaking on a pond. The Valdari ship's perfect structure began to fail. The human attack ships arrived, engaging the other 4 Valdari vessels. They were small but fast, darting in, firing, and pulling away before the enemy could respond. Main cannon at 60%, Kate reported. 1 more minute. We may not have a minute, Sam said. The lead Valdari ship was breaking apart, but its weapons were still operational. It fired again and a massive energy beam hit the Vengeance directly. Critical damage to propulsion systems, Paul reported. We're losing power again. The Vengeance drifted, caught in Earth's gravity, beginning a slow fall toward the atmosphere. The lead Valdari ship was in the same condition, both vessels locked together in a deadly dance. Main cannon? Sam asked. 70%, Kate said. Not enough. For a full power shot. Sam made his decision. Reroute all remaining power to the cannon. Life support, artificial gravity, everything. Give it all to the main cannon. But sir, Paul protested, without life support, we have emergency oxygen. Sam cut him off. It'll be enough for what we need to do. Reluctantly, Paul began the power transfer. The lights on the bridge dimmed. The artificial gravity flickered and failed, leaving the crew floating at their stations. The air grew still as the ventilation system shut down. Power transfer complete, Paul reported. Main cannon at 90%. Target the lead Valdari ship, Sam ordered. Kate aimed carefully. The enemy vessel was close. Too close. Firing at this range would damage the Vengeance as well. Target locked, she confirmed. Sam took a deep breath of the thinning air. Fire. The main cannon fired. At such close range, the beam tore through the Valdari ship like paper. The crystal structure shattered completely. But the explosion sent a massive shockwave back at the Vengeance. The human ship rocked violently. Status of the other Valdari ships? Sam asked, holding onto his chair to stay in place in the zero gravity. John checked his readings. 3 destroyed by our attack ships. The last one is retreating. A cheer went up from the bridge crew. They had done it. They had faced a fleet of 50 Valdari warships and won. But their victory came at a cost. Captain, Paul said gravely. The power core is unstable. We took too much damage. We can't restore full systems. Can we make it back to Earth? Sam asked. Paul shook his head. We're caught in the gravity well. And even if we weren't, the drive system is too damaged. Understood what that meant. The Vengeance had won its battle but would not survive to fight another day. Send a message to Earth, he ordered John. Tell them we've destroyed the Valdari fleet. Tell them... He paused, looking at his brave crew. Tell them the Vengeance did its job. As the damaged ship began its fall toward Earth's atmosphere, the crew worked to save what data they could, to ensure their discoveries about Valdari technology wouldn't be lost. And in the Valdari Imperium, a shockwave of a different kind was spreading. For the first time in 300 years, someone had defeated a Valdari fleet. The news would travel across the galaxy. And everywhere, oppressed species would hear that the invincible empire had a weakness after all. The age of Valdari dominance was coming to an end. The age of freedom was beginning. The USS Vengeance fell toward Earth, trailing smoke and debris. Inside the ship, Captain Sam Reeves gave his final orders. All personnel to escape pods, he commanded. Abandon ship. The crew moved quickly but without panic. They had trained for this. They knew what to do. "What about the ship's data core?" Dr. Alan Pierce asked. "It contains everything we learned about Valdari technology." "I'll stay and make sure it's ejected safely," Sam said. "The rest of you go." Kate Walsh looked at her captain. "Sir, with respect, you can't stay behind alone." "That's an order, Lieutenant," Sam replied firmly. Kate stood straight. "Then I request permission to remain and assist you." Sam started to refuse, then saw the determination in her eyes. He nodded. Permission granted. The rest of the bridge crew reluctantly headed for the escape pods. Throughout the ship, similar scenes played out as the brave men and women who had fought the Valdari prepared to leave their damaged vessel. Sam and Kate worked quickly, downloading the most important data to special containers designed to survive re-entry. The ship shook around them as it hit the upper atmosphere. Metal groaned. Warning alarms blared. 5 minutes until structural failure, the computer announced in its calm voice. "Almost done," Alan said, securing the last data container. "This needs to reach Admiral Miller." Sam nodded. "Get to your escape pod. We'll finish here." Alan hesitated, then saluted and left the bridge. Now only Sam and Kate remained. "All escape pods launched except ours," Kate reported, checking the systems. "Data core ready for ejection." "Eject it now," Sam ordered. Kate pressed a sequence of buttons. Somewhere in the belly of the ship, the precious data core shot away in a special pod, protected from the heat of re-entry, its beacon already signaling its location to Earth. "Time to go," Sam said. They made their way through the tilting corridors of the dying ship. Panels sparked around them. Sections of the ceiling had collapsed. The heat was growing intense as the Vengeance's hull began to glow from atmospheric friction. They reached the last escape pod just as the computer announced, 2 minutes until structural failure. Sam gestured for Kate to enter first. She climbed in and strapped herself to one of the 2 seats. Sam followed, securing the hatch behind him. "Launch sequence initiated," he said, activating the pod's systems. With a jolt, the escape pod blasted free from the Vengeance. Through the small window, they watched as their ship continued its fall, now glowing bright orange from the heat. "She was a good ship," Kate said quietly. Sam nodded. "The first of many." Their pod's parachutes deployed, slowing their descent toward the Pacific Ocean. Above them, the Vengeance broke apart, pieces burning up in the atmosphere, creating what looked like shooting stars visible across half the planet. Miles below, in the underwater command center, Admiral Frank Miller watched the tracking screens. Dozens of green dots represented escape pods making safe landings in the ocean, where ships waited to recover them. "How many?" he asked tensely. 187 pods detected, an officer reported. "That's nearly everyone, sir." Frank closed his eyes briefly in relief. Then he focused on another matter. "The data core successfully ejected," the officer confirmed. "Recovery team is already en route." General Lisa Chen approached, looking at the large screen that showed the remains of the Valdari fleet, just tiny fragments now orbiting Earth like a new ring of debris. "We did it," she said. "We actually did it." Frank nodded. "Phase 1 is complete. But you know what happens next." Lisa's expression grew serious. "The Valdari will send their battle fleet." "Yes," Frank agreed. "We hurt them, but we haven't defeated them. Not yet." Olivia Grant joined them, holding a tablet with incoming messages. "The news is spreading," she said. "The Arcadians have risen up against their Valdari overseers. The Centauri Confederation has stopped sending tribute. 3 other species have attacked Valdari outposts in their systems." "It's beginning," Frank said. "Just as we hoped." On the main screen, a message appeared. It was from the Delphian Resistance, a species that had fought the Valdari in secret for centuries. "They're sending us technical data," Lisa said, reading the message. "Shield harmonics, weapon frequencies, communication codes." "They've been gathering this information for years," Olivia explained. "But they never had weapons powerful enough to use it. Frank smiled grimly. Now they know someone does. 3 days later, Sam Reeves stood on a beach looking out at the Pacific Ocean. His arm was in a sling and burns on his face were still healing. Beside him stood Kate Walsh, similarly injured but alive. "They're building more ships," Sam said. 6 more like the Vengeance, but better. Improved weapons, stronger shields. "Will they be ready in time?" Kate asked. The Valdari battle fleet would arrive soon. Hundreds of ships, far more powerful than the collection fleet they had faced. Earth had won the first battle, but the war was just beginning. "They have to be," Sam replied. A car pulled up behind them. Admiral Miller stepped out carrying a folder. "Captain Reeves," he said. "Lieutenant Walsh, good to see you on your feet." They saluted. Frank returned the salute, then handed Sam the folder. "The USS Defiance," Frank said. "Our newest battleship. She'll be ready in 2 weeks. I want you to command her." Sam opened the folder and looked at the specifications. The Defiance was even larger than the Vengeance, incorporating everything they had learned from the battle. "The crew?" Sam asked. "Your choice," Frank replied. "Many from the Vengeance have already volunteered." Sam wasn't surprised. Despite the danger, despite the wounds, his people were ready to fight again. "There's something else," Frank continued. "We're getting messages from across the galaxy. Species we've never heard of before reaching out, offering alliance." He showed them his tablet. On it were dozens of messages translated into English. Offers of help, of technology, of ships. "We're not alone anymore," Kate realized. "We never were," Frank said. "The Valdari just made everyone too afraid to speak up. Until now." On a hill above them, a crowd had gathered. Ordinary people coming to thank the heroes who had fought for Earth. Children waved, adults cheered. Some held signs with the image of the Vengeance and words like "Thank you" and "Earth fights back." Sam looked at them, then back at the ocean. Somewhere up there, the Valdari battle fleet was coming. But for the first time in centuries, they would not face a frightened, isolated enemy. They would face a galaxy united against them. "When do we start?" Sam asked. Frank smiled. "We already have." Across the stars, the news traveled faster than any ship. Humanity had done the impossible. They had studied their enemy in secret. They had built weapons specifically designed to counter Valdari technology. And they had won. The Valdari High Council met in emergency session, faces grim. For the first time in their long history, they faced a threat they had not anticipated. "The humans must be destroyed," Grand Strategist Vexer insisted. "Make an example of them." But other voices, quieter ones, suggested something unthinkable: negotiation. Peace. The Valdari Empire was learning a lesson that many empires throughout history had learned too late. Fear could control people for a time, but hope could change everything, and humanity had given the galaxy hope.